Remember the rebellion.
Remember to sync your audio.
Remember to sync your audios at the end.
When you're doing your podcast. Hi, this is Tales from the Long Box, where the big two, Marshall and Michael, talk about the big two with you. With
And also
you,
not the
our
big two.
wonderful audience.
Today, not the big two.
That's the thing. We always say the big two in our intro. We're not talking to anything about the big two today.
We haven't for a while. You like what I'm doing here?
I really like what you're doing there.
I do this with my hands when I'm thinking really hard.
Just stimming it up. Call Marshall here, Stimmy Turner, because he be stimming.
Pretty good.
Thank you.
Michael, we're here to talk about cool big turtle. Last week we said I was a big turtle man. I wasn't a big turtle man?
Boy. I
don't
know.
remember. There's a short that's going to come out at some point that is talking about me being a big turtle man.
Hopefully it's out now.
Insert short now. I like where it's starting, and I'm interested to see where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
It's not blowing my mind yet, but I've also never been a huge turtle guy.
Yeah, you're a human guy, for sure.
If I was a turtle, I would be a huge turtle guy.
Yes, 100%.
One of the biggest turtle guys.
You're a mutant now, you would be a mutant as a turtle, for sure.
Yeah, and Senator Kelly would not be happy about it, and neither would Reverend Stryker.
Yeah, Senator Kelly would squeeze through some bars in Alcatraz and fall to the ocean below.
He would be a real big gelatinous blob.
Man,
and Stan Lee would be cooking hot dogs. So thanks guys for being here. Today we're talking about Ninja Turtles, talking about the original run of the Ninja Turtles, talking about Last Ronin, talking about maybe the Batman one if you want to tell me about that. I didn't have time to read it.
I'll tell you all about it.
Great. So we got a lot to get into. There's going to be time codes for all those things. If you want to just skip to the original series or skip to the Last Ronin, if that's what you've read, or skip to the end, you don't need a time code for that. It's just the end. I get it. It's okay. I understand. But there's going to be time codes for all those things, so you can skip ahead to whatever you want to get to. But first, Michael.
Yeah.
What was I going to say?
Comic book news and things we're reading?
I don't really have comic book news, but I do want to know, like, what are you reading lately? Or, like, what have you picked up at the store? Have you picked anything up?
Dude, I have, to my shame, well, not really to my shame.
You can be ashamed.
I've been exclusively reading Turtles for the last 2 weeks since our last episode.
Pretty good.
I don't think I've read, I haven't picked up a novel or a biography of any type, which is not like me.
Okay.
It has been just Turtles. And I've read so many Turtles comics. Most of it, as we'll get into, it was the City at War Turtles arc from the 80s. That was the last 13 issues, I think, of the original Turtles run.
Yeah.
It was so phenomenal. But again, we'll get into it. I don't want to do too much of it now. But
heck, Michael.
Yeah, it's so good. What are you reading?
Well, I was reading Turtles, obviously, trying to get it through as much of that as possible. I'd never read any Turtle comics at all before. I'd never really watched the TV shows, the cartoons, the movies, or anything like that. I've seen the original Jim Henson movie, but that's pretty much it. And the TMNT. I've seen TMNT, the 2007 or 8 animated movie,
which is a good one.
People really like.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. Like, in the spirit of reading comics that started out in black and white, I also was rereading The Walking Dead recently.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
Just for no reason. But also because, like with Ninja Turtles, they did go back and start doing it in color.
Yeah.
So they've been releasing it one issue at a time, basically just going through the entire series and doing it in color. Yeah. So it's been fun kind of rereading that, because I've read most of The Walking Dead, but rereading that and seeing, like, how powerful is that? Seeing what it is with color and stuff like that is great. It looks really good. I also got a couple things.
Did you empty out more of your box?
Just a little bit. Just new books.
I'm so proud of you.
So I got new Star Wars.
Ooh,
this one takes place after Return of the Jedi and after the Battle of Jakku. There's a whole series that takes place doing the Battle of Jakku, and this is after that. Written by, I can never remember his first name, last name Segura.
Tom?
That's always my instinct, but I'm, pretty sure no.
That would be
Alex.
Extremely fun.
Alex Segura, and art by Phil Noto, who's really good.
Yeah. Did
some good Daredevil stuff, has also done some really good Star Wars stuff in the past. He's working on a Fantastic Four movie tie-in book, and I'm really excited about that. Haven't read it yet. It looks really good. And Immortal Thor. I still haven't read any of that, but I want to. Still trying to catch up on all of Thor for the last like forever. And then I went to Omaha this weekend.
Ooh, fun. What'd you do?
Well, hung out with friends.
Love it.
And went to the Half Price Bookstore. So I finally picked up something I'm surprised I didn't already have, which is The Dark Knight Returns by Mr. Miller. Not Millar. Miller. Yeah. Frank Miller. And it's just incredible and also kind of topical for one of the books we're talking about today. Yep. There's a lot of similarities to this. In Turtle World in general, there's a lot of Frank Millerisms, and The Last Ronin is kind of Dark Knight Returns Turtles.
Yeah.
So we can talk about that. And I also got the adaptation of Dracula by James Tynion and Martin Simmons, whose name you might remember from Department of Truth. This is the same creative team as Department of Truth. So the art on the cover is completely not representational of what's on the inside. The crazy, incredible painted work that Martin Simmons does in Department of Truth is what this book has.
He does like abject horror so well.
And it's just incredible.
Yeah, it's so disturbing. And so for a Dracula horror book would be beautiful. Yeah.
Like this is Renfield.
Yeah.
Oh, why does he look that way?
Dude, you gotta let me read this. This looks so cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see over there. Zoom in, everyone.
Zoom and enhance.
And you can see Dracula there. It's in like the Universal Monsters comic book world. So this obviously is not what Dracula is described as looking at like in the book. Yeah. This is very much like the Bela Lugosi thing. But looks really cool. Also went to the library, got a lot of cool library finds, which I'll be talking more about next week. But some stuff I'm excited to look at is a graphic novelization of Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, which is Jacob Erb's favorite book.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a big Vonnegut guy. That's cool. And the art inside looks really cool. A lot of times with graphic novelizations, it can kind of be half-assed, it feels like.
Yeah.
And just not really be a really good comic, but just kind of be like, well, we're doing this because kids like it or something.
Yeah.
But this one looks really good.
Yeah, it takes it seriously. Yeah.
I'm really excited to read this because I've never read the original novel. Yeah. It's the same thing that I did with Fahrenheit 451. I have the graphic novelization of it, which also has really cool art. I have not read the original novel.
Yeah.
I think I actually gave that one to Jacob. And then this... I love artisan edition books. I've got a few of them down there. This is one for Will Eisner, who is like the guy. He's the original graphic novelist. That's so cool. So he is like one of the all-time greats. So if you don't know what an artisan edition book is, it's not an artist edition, which is like a giant one, but this is basically like the original pencils and inks of... these old books, and this is The Spirit, a character that I believe he created, an all-time classic pulp comic book character, and you just get to see the gorgeous like pencils and inks and see all of the notes in the margins and the whiteout and stuff like that. It's just the most incredible work, and it's fun to do like studies based on this stuff. Yeah. So to go and like try to replicate a panel and like really learn, and you can flip, Michael. I'm just holding it for you. Really do studies based on that stuff and grow a lot by doing what they're doing. So it's really cool stuff. I've got a couple Spider-Man ones down there. I've got Gil Kane and John Romita Spider-Man. There's a second John Romita Spider-Man one coming soon that I really want. I've got Fantastic Four by Jack Kirby Artisan Edition. Ooh. I really want to get the Hellboy Mike Mignola Artisan Edition.
This right here.
Yeah, so such cool stuff.
Just the way I love artisan editions because it really just lets you feel connected to the original artists that like go through this stuff. Yeah. Like not just by reading their notes, but like they even, you get the kind of sketch outlines of the intended formats. You get like the weird pulpy looking paper that they would have drawn on.
Yeah, well, it's interesting looking at this also compared to the ones done by like Marvel or DC, because those are much more well preserved, where something like The Spirit is so much more niche. So these pages are like super yellowed, they're super old. Just in comparison to when those Fantastic Four and Spider-Man books came out, like this is a lot older. I think, right? I believe.
Oh yeah, that's got to be 19.
Let's just look it up before we say something silly.
Yep. Can I make a guess? I'm going to guess 35.
Whoa, that feels really early to me. 1947 is the earliest one on here.
Wasn't that
so? It's around the same time as DC Comics, but it's very much pre-Marvel.
Yeah.
So yeah, this stuff is just incredible to look at, incredible to read. It's like kind of cartoony, but not super cartoony. Really excited to go through this. I think I'm going to make some videos about artisan editions and doing studies based off of them.
Sweet.
So you can look forward to those at some point.
Keep an eye out for that on the YouTube channel.
But that's pretty much all I've got, Michael.
So good.
Michael, tell me about Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles are so good. I've been dying to talk about this.
Mm-hmm. Why?
I grew up with Ninja Turtles, right? I was, despite
in the home,
in the sewers with them. I grew up with them.
Yeah. Wow, in the lair,
and the rat,
as they call it,
the lair. No, it was okay. I'm going to go into my history with the Turtles, with the IP. Despite the way I look, I was born in the late 90s.
My immediate thought was, out of the two of us, you're the one who looks more like a turtle. So I'm like,
well, we'll see about that.
Why is that the direction I went? Go ahead.
I have no idea. But I miss out what I was getting to, Marshall. You silly boy. Was that I'm too young to have hit the original like
comic books or cartoon.
Right. Well, just the bulk of Turtle Mania in like the late 80s, early 90s. However, my older brother was the right age for that. And with older siblings, you like catch the residual. You get all the hand-me-down Halloween costumes, and you get all the old toys and stuff like that. So I got the hand-me-down Turtle Mania, and I loved it so much. When I was a kid, I thought that the 90s like weird like costume live action movies and stuff like that, I thought they were so strange and so goofy,
but great,
but weirdly great, especially when you watch them back later. It's like, imagine doing all of these stunts in the costume and stuff, like, you know what I mean, like you just learn to appreciate those things later on. You lean in on the silliness, and I think like that's what's made me appreciate that IP even more now as a grown-up is it is silly. It knows it's silly, but it like, and it it acknowledges that, but still finds ways to take itself really seriously.
Because it's like it's a weird thing like Galaxy Quest, where it's very much like founded on parody of the medium a little bit, but it's doing it not out of like spite, like something like The Boys does. When you read the books, The Boys, the show's not that way. The books are special. But it very much, like Galaxy Quest, has like a love for the thing that it is spoofing. So like the original books are very much doing like the Frank Miller thing of like the Daredevil. I mean, the whole thing is a Daredevil spoof. With like even in the original book, Daredevil's origin happens, but also in the process, the ooze goes down into the sewer and gets the turtles and Splinter. And the whole Turtles origin is like just out of frame from the Daredevil origin. Which I think is so much fun. It's so much fun. And we'll get into that too with the history of the original artists and stuff like that. We'll chat about it too. But first, I want to hear about your like history and experience with the Turtles, which I think is it's more recent, right? I have very little experience with the Turtles. I never really watched any of the shows growing up. I don't know if I said it on mic or off mic, but I did watch the like 2007 2008 animated movie when it came out, like, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. It was like the Dark Turtles a little bit. It takes more inspiration from the original comics than it does like the 80s cartoons and stuff like that. But I never really got into it beyond that. I don't remember ever having, maybe I had a turtle ninja figure, crazy. Turtle action figure. I have vague memories of that maybe. But other than that, like the other times that I've interacted with the Ninja Turtles, which is a weird thing to say out of context, outside of that moment when I was like 8, was the new movie recently, which I really enjoyed, which is a very different take, having now read the original comics, but I really liked it.
Very different from the original comics.
Very
as we know
different.
now.
I like that they actually talked like teenagers. That was the first time they ever actually seemed like teenagers to me.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel weird and inauthentic. It didn't feel like us saying Riz no cap. It felt like this is actually kids
What do you
just
mean?
talking.
That's authentic. We're
Right?
young.
Hello, fellow kids. I also loved the very different version of Splinter where Jackie Chan was a conspiracy theory dad.
It's so good.
Very different from any other version of Splinter, but it was very funny.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that was really good. And then in high school, I was in speech and I did an HI, a humorous interpretation, that was, I found out after the fact, basically just a bunch of quotes from the original movie, live action movie, cobbled together to make some kind of other story. I remember none of it. Okay. I never memorized it in the first place. I was never off book, and I did take it to competitions. It was a disaster. Yeah. I might have a voice note of myself doing it.
Oh, please find it. And put
I
it
don't
in here
know.
if you have it.
It might have been deleted.
Oh man,
because man, it's horrible.
It sounds bad. But I really want to see it nonetheless.
But we'll see, because it's me doing all the voices.
Yeah.
And like doing the thing where you're jumping back and forth. Now I'm Splinter. And now I'm Raphael. Now I'm the Shredder. And it's stuff. And it's it was very bad.
I'm glad to know you've always been this way.
Yeah. And that's the 1 year I did speech and I quit. I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm out.
Wow.
I'm done.
Because of the turtles.
Kind of because of the turtles. So maybe that kind of soured me on the turtles for a long time.
Yeah. And that's fair, I think.
But that's my fault.
Do you have any experience with the comics before we started prepping this?
No, I only knew that The Last Ronin was really popular when it came out. I didn't know that there was sequels to it.
Yeah.
So there's 3 Last Ronin books now, aren't there?
Yes.
Completed volumes, I guess.
Yeah, there's the original Last Ronin. There's the Lost Years, I
Part
think is one
2
of
or something.
Yeah.
Because it ends on a...
Wait, no spoilers.
What could happen next?
Yeah. Yeah, you get a little bit of a cliffhanging kind of a thing. Yeah, absolutely.
That's my history with the turtles.
I love that.
That being very little.
Yeah.
If you want to hear more about what we think about the recent Ninja Turtle movie, by the way, Mutant Mayhem, we talked about that on Cinema Lounge, which is the other podcast that I do, and maybe we'll keep doing at some point. But it is the two of us on that episode, and we talked about that movie. We liked it quite a bit, and you can check it out. I'll put the link somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a little. So if I'm facing this way, is this the left side of the screen?
Figure it out, Marshall. Figure it out.
Stage right. But the image gets turned around.
Back when I had hair in this episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's super weird.
Link over here, and if it's over there, then I will just swap the image around.
Wow.
You can check it out. I'm not going to put my arm over here.
Oh, okay. Boy. I really love that you did that.
Michael?
I'm going to...
Get us into it.
I'll get right into it. Okay. Put yourself in 1984, if you would, right now. Oh, there he goes.
There are 4 lights. Is that what they say in 1984? What is it? When they're torturing him, or is that Star Trek?
Oh.
There are 4 lights!
That's Star Trek.
The rats. Don't put me in the room with the rats.
I don't remember.
In 1984. I remember so little about that book.
It was a failure of a joke. Keep moving.
Put yourself in the year 1984.
Okay.
It's a good place to be.
I'm throwing a giant hammer at the screen.
Amazing.
You remember that one? Is that a better one?
You're killing me here. You're missing me with these references.
That's from the Apple commercial.
We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
2 dudes, Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird.
Okay.
They're chilling in their apartment.
Oh, do one more. Wait, do one more.
Oh, boy.
I got it.
I'm so sorry, everybody. Okay, Marshall, put yourself in the year 1984.
Oh, man. Oh, well, Return of the Jedi was so fun to watch last year, but I can't wait for Back to the Future to come out next year. Okay, go ahead.
Man,
I got it, Michael. We made it there eventually.
Yeah, and I hated the whole ride.
Somehow that's the one that makes the most sense for what you're about to talk about, though, weirdly. So go ahead.
2 dudes. Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird.
Okay, how tall are they?
Kevin Peter. Probably about our age, our age and our height. No, they're actually considerably younger than us.
Great.
Tragically.
Disappointing. Go ahead.
Yep. But they want to be comic book artists.
Mm-hmm.
They really want to be comic book, or just comic book creators, I guess I should say. And so they hang out and they're buddies, and they read comics together. They're big Daredevil fans, as we are, which is fantastic. And they're trying to figure out how to, they would love to write and draw for one of the big two, for Marvel or DC.
For us, they want to write for one of us.
They want to write for us.
Wow,
wouldn't that be something?
Yes.
But they're trying to figure this whole thing out. Yeah. And they're swapping ideas and stuff like that. And as the legend goes, in an attempt to make Peter laugh, Kevin just jots down on a piece of paper a turtle, an upright, biped turtle with a weird mask on and nunchucks strapped to his little turtle hands.
Yeah.
Just as a gag.
Yeah.
He thinks it's so fun. Peter sees it, laughs, does his own rendition of it, and it's this other art thing. And it's so good that we have the historical record of these drawings. You've seen this?
I did. I did a little bit of looking around.
They are so good. They look so jank.
Yeah, but they're also like not that far from what it ended up being.
Especially Peter's.
Yeah.
That's the one with more of the like hooked turtle nose and everything like that. 100%. And we'll get into that. Into why they look so similar in that first drawing to how it looked for the rest of the comics run. But that's how it started, was just this goofy little drawing of turtles. And it wasn't, what's cool is it's not something it wasn't meant to try and sell toys. It wasn't meant to
they were just
build a
making
franchise on. They were just being goofy.
Because they quickly became so popular and then the cartoon became a thing and overshadowed whatever the comics ever would have been.
Yeah.
And so people don't even know that there was ever a comic book in the first place. You just think of it as the cartoon from the 80s.
Yeah.
And then there's toys, and it's because it's extremely toyetic and all that stuff.
Totally.
Is there an episode of Toys from the Past? Not Toys from the Past. That's the store in town. The Toys That Made Us. About the Ninja Turtles. But usually those things, when you're watching a lot of those episodes, it's like, okay, so we've got this idea for a toy called He-Man, but to advertise it, we're going to make a cartoon. Like so many of those 80s franchises started out that way. So we have a toy we want to sell, and we're going backwards the other direction.
Totally.
This is like even further, we're going from print to cartoon and then into toys.
Yeah.
And
anything
it's
that
like
Hasbro ever created.
Yeah.
If you see, made by Hasbro Entertainment, you're watching a commercial, essentially. Yeah. But this is so
very
different.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because even now, like, people don't really know that there's comics. They still, like, in the public eye, they only ever really think of Ninja Turtles as a cartoon.
Yeah.
Or as these weird Michael Bay movies, or those movies from the 90s that some of them were fine and then they got weird or something.
What do you mean? Every shellhead loves the Michael Bay movies.
Alan Richardson does not.
Alan Richardson does not.
Alan Richardson
respect him for it.
Hates those movies.
He was Raphael in those movies, FYI.
Yeah.
Good Raphael voice, but bad movies.
He's Reacher. Reacher's back.
Reacher's back.
Reacher's back.
And he's a big, tough guy. He says tough guy words.
He's got a red mask this time, and he's green, has no real nose.
Yeah.
And he has 3 toes.
Still big. Big shell.
Still big shell,
head,
huge.
big hands.
Bigger head
big size.
than ever. He's a turtle
big
now.
Size and big size.
Can you imagine if the next season of Reacher, he was just a Ninja Turtle, but they just didn't acknowledge it?
Yeah, I'd be sold.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I would start watching the show again.
Good.
I'd be like, this is why I'm here.
So you've seen those drawings. Have you ever seen them in 3 dimensions?
Every day in my dreams.
Because I have maybe some of the most entertaining collectibles I own are the actual original drawings in.
I didn't know you got one of the turtles.
Form.
That's so cool. This is a really high quality.
Dude, it is.
The quality of the shell alone.
The other one too.
Oh my gosh, it's both of them?
Yes, it's both of them in their original. Yeah, show these to the camera. These are both like action figures inspired by those original drawings that we put up on camera or on screen.
That is incredible.
So much fun.
They're like hefty too, man.
Yeah, these things, they do not stand up well on their own. You gotta really
wrong.
Wow, look at you go. Try that other one.
Wait,
he's going right back on his face or his shell.
Boom.
Wow.
Somebody doesn't know how to put action figures on a table.
Apparently, I don't play with action figures good enough for Marshall.
Yeah, this is very cool.
Yeah.
These are very, very cool.
Yep, they're super fun. In prepping for this episode, I realized just the sheer amount of Turtles merch I have. It's egregious,
Really?
and I love it.
I didn't know that you were such a turtle head.
I'm a big shell head.
I love how just stupid this one is.
he's just so
just
derpy,
dumb.
and like his neck is weirdly like droopy.
Hey.
You know what I mean?
This guy's like, I'm going to defend my master Splinter with my life, and this guy's like, yeah,
That's me.
Yeah, we are.
That's you.
Yeah, exactly.
You're the more interesting.
The
one.
more spry, nimble one.
Yeah. So anyway, Eastman and Laird draw these guys.
Yeah.
They go, seems like a fun idea. We'll create a one-off comic book issue.
Yeah. Keep talking about it. I'm gonna grab the camera and
Yeah, perfect.
do this.
Once they write up their one-off, and it's about these. So they multiply their drawing by 4. They put them, they put them in New York City in the sewers, and their dad is a rat, and it's all this weirdness.
Their dad is a rat.
Yep.
He's also just like a regular rat.
He is not, yeah.
Because in different versions, it's like he's an experimented science rat or something.
Yeah, he's
just a rat.
He's not a weird science rat. He's just a rat who, what's the whole deal? He knows kung fu because he was the pet rat of this like. Or no, not kung fu. I'm a fool. He knows ninjutsu because of because his owner, when he was just a normal pet, was a
ninja master.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because it's kind of weird and convoluted.
Yeah.
Splinter's keeper, his owner, was a ninja master of some ninja clan or whatever.
Hamato
and then and he had conflict with this other clan, which is
the Oroku clan.
Oroku clan. And he liked a lady and got with that lady, and this other guy didn't like that, and they fought, and then Splinter's dad killed the other guy.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And then that guy's brother then is like, you killed my brother because of that lady. I'm going to avenge my brother.
Yeah.
And then he goes and he does kill him. It's been a couple weeks since I read this first issue.
That's Oroku Saki who goes and kills Yoshi, Splinter's owner, or dad.
Yoshi.
Depending on, yep. Oroku Saki, also girl's name. Saki is famously so that's kind of fun.
I thought it was a beer.
You got pranked. That's sake, you silly uncultured
It was
man.
a funny joke.
No.
It was just a joke,
No.
Michael. Everyone liked it.
No, it's for the
I'm imagining I'm in 1984.
Everyone loved that joke.
It's everyone's
me.
favorite bit that we do on every episode.
is you doing
This happens more often than I feel like we realize. Is me just thinking too hard.
Oh, dude, all the time. So when they're writing this first issue, Eastman and Laird, they do this thing that I don't think I've ever heard of any other artists doing this, where they have their desks, they have their desks set up right next to each other, and they're like passing pages back and forth, and they're both doing the art on them.
Yeah,
and
which typically you've got a penciler and an inker and a colorist and all that different stuff, but they were doing all of it
themselves.
Like they were continuously like, I'm going to do some of the pencils, and then you do some of the pencils, and then you do some of the inking, and it created this weird amalgam style.
Yeah. And I don't know how anybody, it's crazy to me that anyone can do that. Can play off one another so well. So
it's really strange.
Yeah. When they found this success, and they just did that issue after issue and did this whole thing, you see the effect of when they stop doing that. Because eventually, I don't know how many issues later, maybe 15 issues later or something like that. There's some, they run into these creative challenges, and they're working through figuring out what the future of their company, Mirage Publishing, is going to look like, because they find this overnight success in the Turtles, where they sell just thousands of issues of this thousands of copies of this first issue. And they just get this huge success through that. And then they find some strife, and they're trying to figure stuff out. And at that point, they stop doing that handoff thing, and it shows. You see the art style change.
Really?
You see the writing change. You see kind of like the personal biases of one or the other of them, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So which I do think ended up kind of hurting that original run of the comics.
Sure.
And I think a lot of that creative difference ultimately contributed to them needing to kind of outsource the IP to I think first they went to Image Comics.
I think it was IDW first, because I feel like I was seeing somebody recently talking about how it's kind of weird that Image, this publisher that's all about like creator-owned books, that they now have Transformers and Turtles and stuff like that. That's kind of like a strange thing. I think it was IDW first.
I believe it. It bounced around to both of them at some point.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think it was a lot of it was due to the two of them just found their differences, and they had a hard time continuing at the pace that they had when they first started it, which I think is respectable. You know what I mean? It's like that.
Yeah.
That happens to any creative team that finds success. It's like, in the beginning, this was a one-off, one-issue thing, and within 3 years of their first issue, they're a $1 million property that has toys, that has cartoons, that has all these things, and they're just blowing up. So they couldn't. There was no world in which they could have kept the pace that they had when they first started it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, this is interesting. So there was Archie Comics.
Mm-hmm.
And it did go to Image in 96 to 99.
Man, I'm good.
You're so cool, Michael.
Thank you.
But Mirage was still producing them. Okay, so the Image stuff wasn't considered canon compared to the Mirage stuff, which did go from 84 to 2009.
Yeah.
Then it was IDW 2011, basically until now.
Yeah.
And then Image does sporadic stuff like Last Ronin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Huh.
Dude, and it's so much fun. What's cool, if you guys go back and read that first run of the comics, what's fun reading it, like, retroactively now, because there's a certain TMNT like zeitgeist, and there's iconic characters that everybody knows the names of.
Yeah.
And all those characters show up in, I think, like the first 10
almost
issues
immediately.
Yeah. You get Shredder right away, for example.
Yep.
You get Casey Jones and April O'Neil right away. You get a little bit more niche ones like Baxter Stockman, the scientist, the mad scientist that creates all the other mutants.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You get this instant gratification of all of those things, and then they just build on the mythos from there.
Yeah.
And it is so much fun to go back and read those old ones. And that original run ends up culminating in the comics that I just read this past week, the City of War arc.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to read this one?
I didn't. Now I wish I had.
No, that's all good. It's just it's a really interesting run of the original comics. Again, that's where that first Mirage run concludes.
Sure.
And it's like a whole lot of emotion packed into it. Essentially, they have, again, spoiler for the original run.
Whatever.
The original run at this point. The Turtles have killed the Shredder. The Shredder's daughter has taken over leadership of the Foot Clan, which is their whole thing.
Darn it.
Their whole, big darn it. And and she wants to make a truce with the Turtles because the Foot Clan is like fracturing and going into all these factions and stuff like that. And she's like, okay, if you can kill these zealots that were only loyal to the original Shredder, and they're just, they're wrecking my organization here.
Yeah.
Then we'll have a truce between our clans. So they do that. They handle these elite ninjas that were these like Shredder loyalists. Wait, hang on.
Everyone,
hang on,
relax.
Marshall. Hang on, Marshall and audience.
Everyone, relax.
This is what those elite ninjas look like. Is this little hoss right here?
Was the book still black and white at that point?
I'm pretty sure the original was still in black and white.
Wow.
At least I read it in black and white. But I know they went back and colored it later on.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm
just looking at the covers on League Comic Geeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Put some up on the screen here for sure.
Yeah.
While I play with this here little action figure. This might be my favorite Turtles action figure right here because he is
than this guy.
He's, believe it or not, more than
Bunkus.
More than me as a turtle. Bunkus the turtle.
Mike.
Name this other one if that's Bunkus.
Flunkus.
Bunkus and Flunkus.
I like this one because it looks like the Phantasm from Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
It does look like the Phantasm a little bit with his little hat.
I was thinking just the shape of this this cape here.
Yeah.
Fun fact about the Mask of the Phantasm, that opening like operatic version of the Batman the Animated Series music, it's just nonsense words.
Oh, love that.
Actually, I think it's like words backwards or something. I can't remember.
Cute.
Because my fun fact is useless now because I can't remember the actual truth of the fun fact. You know when you say fun facts and then you say something and then you think, actually, is that true? And then it's not true.
Hit me with a fun fact that is completely untrue just off the dome.
Fun fact, the Ninja Turtles were actually created by J.D. Vance in the year 2020 AD.
No way.
Yes.
We all just thought that they existed before that, but he really coined it.
Well, he went back in time using his powers.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I knew there was something about that guy.
Yeah, it's his time-traveling powers that he has.
Stellar.
Fact check it. Snopes.
Everybody look into that.
It's true. You can't prove it wrong.
We're gonna have this video demonetized because
what do you mean?
Because of our false information, our fake news.
I don't think so. I think if anything, under this administration, we'll get boosted for what I just said.
Good.
Give that man extra credit. Oh no! Oh,
you took his little hat off, you monster.
Is that supposed to happen?
Yeah, it's fine if it.
Look at his weird little head.
It's such a weird head. There's an attachment that I'll pull out in a little bit. That's it's just got his face on it. It's very interesting.
It just has his face on it.
But anyways, these are it's his whole head, but without his mask.
Okay, me too.
Anyway, this is part of the City at War comic book arc.
Great.
One thing you see through a ton of it is just like at the end of it, the turtles kind of split up. Like Donatello and Splinter kind of go and live in the woods, I think, together.
Darn it.
The other three turtles go back to New York. Casey and April are kind of rekindling their relationship.
Ooh.
Stuff like that. It's his whole thing. And so it kind of leaves you hanging a little bit at the end of issue. I want to say it's 62,
which is the last issue.
That's it. Yeah, and that's when it goes over to Image, where the whole storyline switches up. I think it's right after that they switch to. Yeah, fact check me on that too.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's so that's what that is. And then so. That's in I forget what year they put out issue 62. I think it was like 1990.
It is. I was just there. Issue 60 was in June 1st of 93. So presumably 93.
Yeah, 93 sometime. So I want you to, if you're in 93, get there. Get there for just a moment. And then,
I can't. I'm so excited to watch the re-release of the Star Wars movies in theaters. I wonder if they'll ever make another one in 1999.
There it is. And then and then transport yourself all the way to 2022.
Oh, okay. Oh man, these new Star Wars movies suck. I want that one back from 1999.
Wow, perfect. Only 3 years after the Rise of Skywalker, you're still talking about it.
Dude, that's what the internet does.
2022, Eastman and Laird come back together for the first time.
Whoa.
They were still involved with Turtles. They one or the other of them was pretty consistently working with Image or with IDW.
Yeah.
But rarely or maybe never both of them until 2022. They had just made a documentary called Turtle Mania a few years prior.
Okay.
And they brought in both of the artists for that documentary, and it was the first time they'd seen each other in like 20 years. And
that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and as they were talking through it, they even the documentary team took them back to their old studio, back to Laird's house, or where Laird's house would have been at the time, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they go through this whole journey of the history of their IP, and it's honestly this gorgeous story because by the end of it, rekindle their love for the characters, and they go, okay, we could make the conclusion that we always wanted to make.
Interesting.
And so that ends up being, wait,
everyone, wait,
audience,
wait. Michael is just really, he's over here fiddling with his toys.
You hold
oh
this.
My gosh.
Hold those. Nobody should have trusted Marshall with this.
Ready?
Oh no.
Here we go.
Oh no. Oh jeez.
Watch this, everyone.
Oh golly
this.
Moses.
Pretty good.
No one should feel safe. I don't.
You did this, Michael.
I know. I regret.
I'm just like Bruce Lee.
You're just like Bruce Lee. I do not fear a man who's swung 10,000 nunchucks, but I fear the man who's whapped himself with the nunchucks 10,000 times.
Yes. This is good.
It's real good.
Imagine that you're Bruce Lee. Oh, nunchuck quote that Michael just said.
That was really good.
Thank you.
I like your Bruce Lee voice.
That was not a Bruce Lee voice.
We're going.
Don't turn me into a racist.
Chad, clip that.
It's like that Nathan for you clip.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you have nunchucks?
For the bit.
Okay.
For your bit that you just
Great.
This is what Eastman and Laird cranked out in 2022, or to release in 2022.
Yeah, pretty nice.
The Last Ronin was it's the conclusion of the Turtle story that they like theorized, that they came up with in the 90s before they, or maybe even in the 80s, maybe before the end of their run. But
yeah, it's like a theoretical, this is maybe where it could go.
Yes.
In some kind of end game.
Yeah. Say that again?
In some kind of end game.
In some kind of what are we? Some
Fantastic.
kind of Last Ronin?
This is fantastic. Robert Rodriguez?
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez really loved it. I think the foreword is by him in this.
Really? I can see him
fact check that.
making a movie out of this. That's crazy.
Forward by Robert Rodriguez. Love that. This book is so much fun.
Yeah.
And what I love the most about it, I think, one of the many things I love about it is that it picks up right after issue 60, or not right after issue 62, but there are flashbacks that go to like
yeah.
it's
So what
Casey
you've
and
told me
April
now
still.
gives me a lot more context for what was happening in this book.
Yep.
That I wasn't sure if I was supposed to maybe know about some things going in, or if this is like stuff that nobody would know, talking about like truces and stuff like that, and then they've broken the truce and we're doing whatever.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I didn't know.
Yeah. So the truce that they're talking about was established in that City of War run in issues 50-ish through 62. Yeah, that's exactly that, and then that leads straight into this. There's like a big time jump that they kind of revisit in flashbacks throughout this story.
Yeah. Do we know how far the time jump is? I mean, they say something like a decade.
I think it's a decade. Yeah, it's like I don't remember. I don't remember how long the truce lasted, and then there's a decade between the end of the truce between the Turtles and the Foot Clan.
Yeah.
And then you get this, like the main bulk of this story.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. There's I say fun. It's like actually kind of dark in a portion.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a portion of it, the last Ronin in question, who is the last surviving Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, I remember that when it first came out, that was like a big deal of like which one is it? And you find out by the end of the first issue, but up till it came out, it was a big mystery because he's wearing a black mask.
Yeah. Yeah, and none of the turtles wear a black mask. That's the whole deal. And it is very, very engaging. At one point, like he gets to very low points where he like almost commits seppuku because he has failed and dishonored his family, he feels like, but is kind of like stopped at the last minute by young by the
Casey
daughter
Jones.
of the daughter of Casey and April. Yeah.
Junior.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And she's 16 in this. So I'm going to say there's 16 years between the end of the original thing and the beginning of this, 16-ish. Anyway, Such a fun and interesting revisiting from Eastman and Laird. They did the whole story. They didn't do the art on this one.
No,
but they at least brought the story back.
I wrote it down. The main like happening right now story was by Esau Escorza.
Yeah.
And the flashbacks were by Ben Bishop. How do you feel about the art? Let's get into the nitty gritty.
You mean this art?
That's pretty sweet.
This is the end of my merch. Is this one?
It's fun that it's red.
It is. Yeah, they have a colored version of that, but this is Mikey from The Last Ronin. Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah, it is Michelangelo.
It's Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Is The Last Ronin.
That is pretty sweet.
And then they have this red. This was my turtles chase figure. You know, it's like this.
This is your holy grail.
Yep, this is my grail.
Oh, that comes off so you can see his head.
Yeah, so you can see his little turtle dome.
What's up, Turtle Dome? So what do you think? What do you think of this in 2 dimensions?
As in, what do I think of the book?
Yeah, in the
artwork.
visual, he's like, "What? You guys look like freaking idiots."
Yeah. I think he looks really solid in 2 dimensions. He's not mean to his predecessors. I dare say I like the way that he looks in this better than I like the originals, which is like
Sure.
Not,
yeah.
I feel like
the original art is not great.
Yes.
It's not bad by any means, but it's certainly rough.
Yeah.
At times. You can very much tell that this is a book made by 2 dudes in the 80s who are just kind of doing it and taking it to like indie book fairs, basically.
Yeah.
And if they did that today, it probably would not have gotten as big as it did, because like comics are such a bigger industry now than they used to be.
Yeah.
So like how your comic looks, unfortunately, matters a lot more than it used to. Like you have to have really, really, really good art to really pop off the way that these guys did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not bad, but it's not great. They did go back and do the colored version, which I think helps a lot.
Yeah.
Because comparing it again to something like The Walking Dead that I've been reading, The Walking Dead was doing a really good job of something that I feel like Eastman and Laird weren't doing as much, which is considering the fact that without color, you don't have color to distinguish depth. So everything has to be like a lot of deep black. And like it shows you where things are distance-wise. It's like when you look at old movies that are black and white, there's lots of these deep dark shadows because that was how they were distinguishing depth in a scene, how they were focusing where your eye should be looking. And The Walking Dead black and white did that very, very well. I feel like they struggled with that a bit more. I found myself a lot of times, even in the colored version, struggling with where I was meant to be looking. I even had that difficulty with this one. So I think my problem was the modern day art, and more so maybe the colors on it. The colorist was Luis Antonio Delgado. I haven't looked at the man's other work. It's probably fine. I don't know. But in this particular thing, it just felt a little too flat to me, where it maybe needed not necessarily to be more rendered out, because I love a flat look. That's how I draw a lot of the time, is with a fairly flat style. But maybe with more thought to the palette of like, how am I directing the eye here? Because there were several places where I was just like, it feels like there's just a lot of information here, and my mind is kind of being overwhelmed by it because I'm just having to look at everything at once rather than the page naturally showing me where I'm supposed to go.
For sure.
I didn't have that problem with Ben Bishop. I really, really liked all of the flashback stuff. The colors were gorgeous. The art was gorgeous. It also didn't have any like harsh black in it at all, which is probably just them doing a creative choice because it's a flashback, that it's supposed to be very visually separate. And it is extremely visually separate. But I don't know. I felt like the dissonance between the two of them was almost too harsh to me, where like something like Strange Adventures, there's 2 artists on that because there's like flashbacks and there's current day, and there's thematic reasons also to the artists that are chosen. So that's drawn by Doc Shaner and Mitch Gerrits, and they're extremely different, but they're both very, 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 very good. This one, I feel like there's a bit of a what am I trying to say? There's a bit of a gap, I feel like, in quality between Ben Bishop and Esau Escorza. But I also, maybe it's just also that I don't typically like really, really fine point art with tons of tiny little lines and stuff.
Sure.
Like this reminded me of Salvador LaRocca in some ways.
Yeah.
Not in the way that like the LaRocca stuff in Star Wars had goofy proportions or anything like that. Just in his kind of line work.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't super into personally.
Yeah, I recall you saying that you wanted him to
go
retire.
away or something like that.
Yeah, or to just stop.
I don't feel that about Esau Escorza. I feel like a lot of times the color is the problem a lot more than the lines are.
Yeah.
Like if you look at anything that Jim Lee does these days, I think most of the time the problem with his stuff is not his lines, it's Alex Sinclair's colors. Because Sinclair's work is so in the 90s.
Yeah.
And like you can look, a really good example is the recent Wolverine Revenge book drawn by Greg Capullo. The colorist had to step off of it for some reason. That was a whole dramatic thing. I won't get into it, but the colors on it were incredible. It was done by FCO, who's fantastic. We love FCO. And then on the last issue, it changed to Alex Sinclair.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like a completely different book. It looked terrible, especially compared to what happened before. But the lines were the same.
Sure.
It was the same lines and the same ink from Greg Capullo, and I don't know who was inking it. Maybe it was him, maybe it was somebody else. But the colors make such a big difference.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like the colors were maybe the problem.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Totally.
The story I thought was really cool. I like the story.
Absolutely.
I like the setting, the kind of like Batman Beyond
Yeah.
future that it's in.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
But before we get onto that, one last comment about the artwork
Tell
is
me.
that what's cool is that we can only make this commentary and appreciate it in the way we do because of the way that it has evolved from those old, like Eastman and Laird had no way of knowing what this would ever look like, you know, in 30 years after they started the 40 years even after they started the franchise. So that's, I think that's such a cool, that's a testament to the staying power of their original work is the fact that it got popular enough to evolve through the cartoons, through the weird, funky 90s costumes. Through all these things, you know.
Well, and Eastman's got some stuff in this too. There's like two levels of flashback.
Yeah.
Where it's like the story being told, and then I don't really know what the rhyme or reason is actually for why it's Ben Bishop versus it being Eastman for like a couple pages at a time.
Like those black and white ones.
That's Eastman.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I haven't heard the justification for that. I'm assuming it's just because it's like
it's fun to have him in there.
Yeah.
I just don't know if there's like a story reason of like, you know, like the black and white scenes in Oppenheimer are from my perspective, I think it's Strauss's view. That's his perspective of things. And then the color stuff is the reality of the situation. Totally. So I don't know if there's some story device on why most of the time it's Ben Bishop and those couple pages every once in a while it's Eastman. Doesn't matter that much. Yeah. It's fun to see it.
Totally. And the pages you're talking about, you know, those are the revisitings of like after Michelangelo has lost his brothers and his dad.
That's what it is.
And it's like he's in in exile essentially, and he's going through this journey of things. So I think part of it is that, and it's like just meant to, you know, it's this really great differing art style that shows his fractured state of being at that time.
Well, it's kind of an interesting. No, that's totally what it is. Yeah. It's just that's the time period. So like the like everyone's dead basically is Ben Bishop. Then it's Eastman, and then the current stuff is, what is his name again? Esau Escorza.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Did you catch that panel where Eastman and Laird show up on the train or on the subway in New York?
Okay. I feel like I was reading it. I don't know that I would recognize them if I saw them.
Sure. Yeah.
But I feel like I was reading it, and every time I see something like that, and there is like a character like that is kind of sticking out, I'm always like, I wonder who that's supposed to be.
I'm pretty sure
so that
this is supposed to be those guys.
I caught it, but I didn't know what I caught.
Yeah. I don't know. Put it up on screen now. We'll see. Yeah. You guys see what you think. There's also, while you're doing that, there is another panel that is kind of, I don't know, I think it's like 1-to-1 Batman Returns.
Dark Knight Returns?
Or Dark Knight, yeah, I'm sorry, Dark Knight Returns. Yeah. Yeah, do you have it in the, I'll see if I can
mud
find.
hole?
No, not even the mud hole.
There is a great homage to the fight with the mutant leader in the mud hole, where he fights at the very end of the book when he fights what's his name to the death.
Yeah.
It's literally them coming out of a sewer pipe into a mud hole, just like this.
There's another one with that famous lightning shot of...
Is there?
Yeah, the silhouette in front of the... Oh, man, I'm not going to be able to find it. I took a picture of it. I'll show you on my phone.
Oh, my God. The picture.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I totally missed that.
Yeah.
That's absolutely what that is.
Yeah, with the moto.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah.
I remember the art on that page feeling really funky, so I kind of kept reading.
Just breezed past it.
Yeah.
Understandable. Yeah.
This book is fantastic, and it takes a lot of inspiration from it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Batman in that one, where in the original books there's a lot of Daredevil.
Yeah.
Or like this one is like the future world of Batman Beyond, where it's like corpos are in charge of everything and Bruce is kind of like given up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, Casey is it is really Batman Beyond. Casey is basically Terry.
100%.
And then Mikey is old Bruce in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like trying to do it, but too old to do it.
Yeah.
But instead of stepping back like Bruce does, he keeps going and,
Yeah.
doesn't go well.
Yes, indeed.
It does go well, but it doesn't go well.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one doesn't have like a retro future to it, but it does have that like much older, grizzled version of this character, and things have happened and you don't exactly know what they are and stuff like that. Yeah, that's really cool.
100%. Also, I didn't bring this up when we were talking about the Daredevil comparison, but you just reminded me of this. I had never even made the connection that the Turtles have the Foot Clan that they're up against
In the hand.
and Daredevil has the hand.
Yeah, what about his master, Stick?
Stick and Splinter.
Yep.
Little Stick. It's so good.
It's
I
pretty
didn't,
great.
I didn't notice any of this.
It's pretty great.
By myself.
I do appreciate that in the original run and in this,
Yeah.
they are very much hitting the super dark, serious, intense Miller dialogue very hard.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Which shouldn't, the fact that that these books can make you look past the fact that he is a turtle. This shouldn't make any sense. It shouldn't be as compelling or as like legitimately emotional as it is.
Yeah.
But it is. I don't know. It's such it's this goofy concept that they turn it into just such a beautiful final product.
It's very good.
Yeah.
It's very well done, ultimately. Like, as a whole, I've got issues with the art sometimes. But as a whole, I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Do I have any other important notes here?
Hit me with them
I loved Leo and Casey's final stand. Leo was always my favorite turtle.
Really?
Because I like blue and I like Katana.
Yeah.
So I thought their last stand was really cool and the art was really fantastic. I wrote here that I was reading Casey's dialogue with Freddie Prinze Jr.'s voice in my head.
Oh, yeah.
And
From
I
2007?
I don't think he's the voice of Casey. So
Is
I
he
looked
not?
it up.
No,
that
it
was what I
Chris
was
Evans
thinking.
in 2007, wasn't it? That's what, yeah.
I looked it up, and I don't think he's ever voiced the character.
Maybe he just looks like him. I don't know.
I don't know, because in my head, it's like that moment was also very reminiscent of like Kanan and Rebels.
Yep.
Like stopping the explosion and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know why in my head like that was the voice that I was hearing.
That's a great voice for Casey, though.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that either in an animated movie
It makes
or
a lot of sense.
You could do it in live action, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the most of what I have here, Michael. Do you have any other important things to say about Ninja Turtles?
I could go on and on, but I don't think I have any last parting shots. If you guys in the audience want to see us talk about more Turtles or watch us play the video games or watch the movies and do commentary or any some such thing, let us know. I've had a lot of fun talking about it, and I would absolutely talk about it more.
Yeah, let us know how you got introduced to the Turtles if you want, if you like the Turtles, if you like us, if you want to tell us about the Turtles. There is a Turtle video game on Game Pass.
Is that
so
which
we
one?
could, I don't know.
Is it Turtles in Time?
No.
Is it Shredder's Revenge?
No.
Is it? I don't know any others.
It's,
Those are the
it's
two big
not
ones.
any of the old classics. It's like a modern version of that. It's like a modern beat 'em up, I think.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Like based on Mutant Mayhem, maybe. I can't remember.
Nice.
We can look at my computer later.
We could play.
But yeah, thanks guys for checking out this episode about Ninja Turtles. I don't really know anything about Ninja Turtles, and now I know more, and I kind of want to read more. I'm like really curious to check out the IDW run.
Yeah.
I think I like the original stuff, but I think it's aged to a point where what I'd rather do is watch like a 5-hour video essay, just going through the entire thing, and I feel like I'd get more out of that than I would spending all the time reading it, which sometimes with older comics that's a difficult thing to like really feel like you have to push through certain arcs. I've been reading X-Men off and on for like a long time, and it's not always easy.
Totally. No, that's a fact.
But yeah, I'm really curious about the IDW stuff, especially since I just saw that Jason Aaron and Joel Jones did a run. Joel Jones's art is fantastic, and I've mind blown to consider what it would possibly look like for Ninja Turtles. So yeah, if you like these books, then if you like The Last Ronin, if you like the original run, I would suggest Daredevil. Like, check out the original Daredevil comics. Check out the Frank Miller Daredevil comics, especially the Man Without Fear book, written by Miller and drawn by John Romita Jr. Also Born Again, and if you really like The Last Ronin, I would highly suggest one of the best books of all time, and as Grant Morrison has said, despite it being one of the most famous, well-known comics of all time, there's a good argument that it is still somehow underrated. The Dark Knight Returns, incredible book. Fantastic stuff.
As you know, Marshall's a big Frank Miller guy of Mad Max fame.
Most of the time.
Running it back to that.
Yeah. Written and drawn by Frank Miller, inked by Klaus Janson, and colors by Lynn Varley. Incredible book. Really cool. Got that old man Batman vibe. And if you like the not retro future, but like the vaporwave kind of cyberpunk future of that, then all of the modern Batman Beyond books have been really fun. They've been really good. And you can also just, like, there's an animated movie of The Dark Knight Returns. There's the Batman Beyond animated series. There's Turtle animated shows. I've heard that the current animated series is pretty good.
It is. It's fun.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to check out if you like these characters.
Yes, definitely. If you find any connections or any similarities that we missed, let us know. We love that sort of thing. Making those connections between different properties. So much fun.
Yeah. And if you like us, then you can check out more stuff that we've talked about. We've talked about Star Wars comics. We've talked about the stuff that inspired Daredevil Born Again, not the comic book Born Again, funnily enough. Lots of other things, Thunderbolts things, whatever. I'm also doing streams on Fridays, drawing at this desk right here. Pretty cool. And on Mondays, it's been a little bit since I've made one, but I need to get back to it. There should be process videos coming out every Monday. Going through some of my art. Here's 3 things that I drew. Pretty cool. Which one was your favorite, Michael?
This one, right above my head.
Whoa, cool. So you can check out all those things. I'm at mparish_art on all social medias. Marshall Parrish on the YouTube. Yeah, I think that's all the stuff. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you being here as always. All of our regular listeners, Eric, Anthony, Doom, Skylar, maybe. Yeah, just thanks for listening. Share it with a friend if you like it. Let us know about what your favorite Turtle book or your favorite Turtle media, and what would you like us to see do next. What we are going to be specifically doing next is talking about books for to be a comic book insider. So like slightly more deep cut stuff that you call that out and people would be like, oh, cool, interesting. That's a surprise maybe. So I've got a big stack here from the library that a couple of those are for that. And I got some really cool picks and one kind of unconventional one that I think you might debate me on to a certain level. So
yeah, I'm stoked. We're going to, if you want to hear more about things you might not have heard of yet, but totally should check out, let us know. Yeah. But I think that's it for today. We love you guys. Keep reading comics. We'll see you next time.
Good luck.
So take yourself back to 1984.